This show is definitely giving me that Death Note style battle of wits that I really do crave. There's very few anime that can really give me that style where I feel like the characters kind of going at each other, pretty much knowing that the other is most likely in the wrong while the other is like, oh, they definitely know I'm in the wrong. You don't get to see it too often, and while I'm not going to say it's as good as something like Death Note, there is something about this show that really just entertains me beyond belief, to the point that, at the moment, after watching 4 episodes of Talentless Nana, I would say this is my current favorite anime of this season. And it's weird for me to say that because there's other anime that I'm watching that, by my own standards, I would like more and claim to be a better show. But watching episodes such as these, or even last week, and just seeing how the formula I was convinced it would follow, Nana being this supposed mind reader who just analyzes the data and kills people one by one, maybe every other episode she gets a kill. 2 episodes in a row, we've had 2 people more or less kind of like break her entire rule set, saying, hey, I'm pretty sure you're up to no good, and then you introduce someone who can see the future with photographic imagery that can literally show you what's going to happen or has happened, and she's kind of screwed. To see just the numerous times that I feel like she doesn't have the easiest way to kill everyone, it really does show to me that there is going to be hardships and hurdles she'll have to overcome, and I really feel like with this new character we get introduced to, whose name I'm never even going to attempt to say, I'm just going to call him Yu-Gi-Oh! Looking hair guy, because his name is just impossible for me to pronounce. This guy either has 1 or 2 things in mind. 1, he wants to aid her in her insanity, or 2, he firmly believes his abilities are absolute and he's not even going to attempt to stop her. All he wants to know is why he's going to die, which honestly some people may want to say is a weak mindset, but if you've had an ability that has convinced you the future cannot be changed, it's kind of understandable why you would just kind of not even try to preserve your life. And with the type of persona we just witnessed with this guy, it kind of makes sense that he's just like, at least tell me why I'm gonna die at the end of the day and why did you kill supposedly main character who got pushed off a cliff. This show is just ridiculously fun, and I love that constant battle of wits between Nana as well as Kyouya, because Kyouya is a character who does remind me of L in a certain sense, not to the same intelligence level, but the idea that in that show, L highly suspects Light as being Kira, but he doesn't have 100% proof, so he can't just 100% say you are him, because then he'll just get killed. So he has to do it in very intelligent ways. He has to expose the secret in intelligent manners. In here, we have Kyouya who's not 100% convinced it's Nana, and it makes sense from his point of view because while everything is lining up to what the viewer is seeing, oh, she most definitely stabbed herself in the back, she probably hid the weapon underneath her clothing. At the end of the day, he doesn't have proof, and if he says that to any of the people, they'll just go to their leader, and either they'll vote him off the island or she'll do so for him. So it's one of those things where he's like 99.9% sure it's her, but there's not enough proof for him to commit to that, so he's constantly observing her and seeing and just constantly questioning what's happening, and for her that's the worst case scenario because he's literally immortal. And it is interesting because a lot of people were questioning would poison work on the guy, and she's already developed some poison, so it'll be interesting to see if she does attempt to do that next week. But the most important thing for her is this new character who literally has photographic imagery that shows Nana killing him in a shed, which honestly, I feel like those photographs are going to bite her in the ass. If he actually does end up dead, I feel like those photographs are going to be found by other people, most likely Kyouya, and who knows what's going to happen. Because how many images does he actually have? Does it like send to a computer? Does he have backup of these images in case something happens? At the end of the day, we don't exactly know the full scope of his future sight, and that could be very deadly to her. So honestly, if I was her, I would try to make this guy an ally. Because he seems a little unhinged. He's not even sweating that he's going to get killed. He's not even threatening you. He's just saying, watch my abilities. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, they're going to absolutely happen. So I'm curious what his actual end goal is. Isn't trying to really save himself, it feels like. He's going to certain sections, he wanted food, and no matter what, she was like, there's no way they're going to be open, and they were. So maybe he's trying to keep himself away from that shed at 10 o'clock, but at the end of the day, it feels like he believes no matter what, no matter how you try to change anything, it's going to happen, and if you do try to change fate, something worse is probably going to happen. Well, it's pretty simple at the end of the day, him trying to change the test score that he was going to get 0 on, and he ended up sick. Just imagine not trying to get yourself killed. I feel like a meteor is going to crash down on you, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. I feel like, if anything, if I was her, I would maybe break down the plan, hope he's a crazy lunatic who enjoys killing, Maybe he'll give you some future sight before he ends up dead. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting for sure. But the battle of wits between her and Kyouya continues to entertain me. I was very interested by the character we get introduced to, who basically is a dog. She licks wounds and they will heal. And I was like, okay, well, it's pretty easy in terms of how to kill her because you just cut off her head. If she can't lick the wound, she can't heal herself. But at the end of the day, how are you going to do that? Because she's usually around people at the end of the day, and she gained this friendship after exposing the, oh, someone sent you a love letter and it was just her so-called friends just trying to play a prank on her, which was pretty bitchy if I have to admit. So to just have that level of helping, I think is going to actually aid her. If there's one character I think she should leave alive until the very end, it's probably Michiru, because she has an ability that if for whatever reason she gets hurt, or honestly, even if some of her victims don't end up dead in one shot, one kill, she can heal them and once again provide herself to be an ally. I mean, they voted her as the leader. She's in the perfect spot to say, oh, someone died, they died a heroic death. They're not even going to question it, which is a really bad thing for Kyouya because they already think he's an outcast and probably already assume he could be an enemy of humanity, because even before Nana's arrival, they assume there's enemy of humanities among their class. So it's going to be interesting to see what she's going to do. She has a good foundation laid, but at the end of the day, when you have Kyouya already heavily suspecting you and a guy who saying his future is absolute, literally having photographic evidence, how are you going to get out of that? Because I firmly believe even if he does end up dead, there's going to be photographs that will be found by other people, and that's going to cause her a lot of heartache. So that's going to be interesting. I definitely love the constant back and forth between the blue lighting on Kyouya and the red lighting on Nana, just showing that good versus evil persona. And it is hard for the guy because some people may want to say, oh, he's dense or something like that. Before Nana's arrival, his so-called sister ended up disappearing, so it's not like he has anything to really say like this has to be her, because his sister disappeared before either of them arrived to this island, so there has to be more than meets the eye, and even though he feels like he's very much on the right path, at the end of the day, it's very hard to say what can he actually believe in, because he is just a kid at the end of the day, unless he's been alive for 40 years because of his immortality, but based on his persona and how he acts, he does feel like a big kid at the end of the day. I just love the show. It just feels like it constantly is making you think. It's not overly complex to the point that you need to try to predict 10 episodes ahead. You take it one episode at a time, you take what you see in this episode and you try to predict next episode. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't call this a bad show. I wouldn't call this a good show. I would call this a pretty damn great show, if not amazing. It feels like it does have structure, foreshadowing, and the executions are working quite well for myself. It feels like highly refined, highly polished series where the characters' motivations, they really do matter, and you have to really analyze, and you never really know who's going to win. And what I absolutely love about this show is I don't necessarily root for Nana or Kyouya. I'm just trying to see who's going to overtake the other, and that's the exact same mindset I had when watching Death Note, because you can really just say, like, both of these characters could probably beat the other. Who's going to win? In Death Note's case, you're kind of like questioning, is this actually going to be a better change for the world? And in Talentless Nana's case, you're also doing the same thing. We don't know if Nana is doing the right thing or the wrong thing. So it makes this constant back and forth, and you don't know who's good and who's evil, or if they both are, and that's a really fun feeling. Great episode once again, constantly improving, and who knows where Future Sight's gonna go next week. But let me know your thoughts and theories down below. If you enjoyed the video, of course, if you'd like to share your support and hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.